Okay, everybody. So we've got the second video in the series here. We're going to be doing a couple more task sheets here. Now, again, these are going to be specific. This operation is specific to a couple of task sheets. We're going to be doing task sheet 756 and 757. We're going to combine the two of them because it all comes out as one operation when you're building automatic transmission, especially this clutch drum. We're going to be doing the forward clutch drum from this 4R70W. You see I got all the clutches in it and everything, so this is straight from scratch. We're going to be inspecting the clutch drum, the piston, the return springs, the seals, the frictions, the seals and steels. We'll be checking all the components. We're going to go back over once again what all these parts are right here. And then we're going to measure the clutch pack clearance. That's something that some guys do, some don't, but it really should be done every time you build a clutch drum. We'll explain why. So what we're going to do first, anytime you do a clutch drum, move that back a little bit, you want to take all the clutches out. You want to get rid of all this stuff. Now, on an initial tear down, you would pull the snap ring out, and this is the special 99-cent Harbor Freight tool that you go and you notch out and make a little hook on it. When it breaks, you throw it away, or you can go spend big bucks with the tool truck and get you one for high dollar, but same thing. So pull out the snap ring, dump all your steels and clutches out of here. Now on the forward drum, when we went over power flow, or we talked about the forward clutch from the torque converter, this is your initial apply clutch. This initial engagement. You put it in drive to pull away from the curb. That's the drum that's applying right there, because it's being fed from the torque converter. And this is your input shaft, and so it's imparting the spin on this forward clutch. This is the one you feel engaged when you put it in gear. You feel that little bump. Okay, that's the truck or car engaging. Okay, so this is a clutch pack. You can see, you can probably tell this has got a wave to it. This is your wave plate. This is your cushion for your initial engagement. Okay, so you got to make sure that thing's good. I've had these things over the years and I check them. Yeah, that's great. I run them through the washer, I pull them out, and it's cracked. Always keep these in stock. So, you know, it doesn't hurt. They're cheap and you got it when you need it. So make sure that thing's good. I'll put that there. That goes on the bottom against the piston. So the piston has to flatten this wave plate out before these clutches will apply, so you don't get this slam into gear. Now, that goes in first, and this one here, this should have had this one upside down here. Okay, the steel, you would put a steel on top of that wave. These steels look good. You want to inspect them, make sure they're not scored, they're not burnt. It's almost like a brake rotor. You know, if you had a rotor that was all grooved and had blue spots on it, well, it's probably trash. This one looks pretty good. So that would go on top of that wave plate. And now you look at your friction disc, your friction plates. They have the activated fibrous surface on there. And it looks all right. But, of course, on an overhaul, I'm going to put new ones. Since this is a trainer here, you know, they're okay for our purposes. But you can still see like ink marking for Borg Warner. Look, there's a plug for somebody. And anyway, that looks all right. So you get a friction on top of that steel, and now another steel, then a friction, and now you get the pattern. You get the idea here. So friction, steel, so another steel, another friction. Man, this one was full, wasn't it? Steel. Yeah, there's a. Now that's all right. That used to ride against the wave plate. And then the last friction. And now you're going to finish up with this apply plate, this top plate here. And notice it's the thicker one. It's got a pretty thick surface. So as that piston comes and compresses your clutch pack, this big guy is holding everything back. And then you have the snap ring to run an interference fit. And so once it applies, we lock down on the forward clutch hub that's in here, and that drives our front sun gear and blah blah blah. So we'll cover power flow here at a later date. So those are okay. I'm going to set those aside. Okay, the snap ring and everything. Now, what we're going to do is I'll do a visual on the drum. Now, we talked about this drum when we were doing the bushings and everything, but you want to make sure these bushing surfaces are good. Make sure they're smooth. They don't have any gouges or grooves worn into them, because that means I got a bad bushing. and these rings right here can damage your pump stator support running through the pump. So you want to check that. You want to check this surface in here on the forward drum and make sure you don't have any ring grooves where my finger's touching, because that is sealing. That's where the sealing rings ride from the pump for this forward clutch to apply the clutches. If there's any grooves in there, you're going to have a pressure leak. You're going to burn these clutches out if they weren't already burned when they came into the shop. You check these splines. This, like I said, this splines into the turbine in the torque converter, and checking your apply for your TCC to lock up. You want to check this especially. These little splines right here, they look kind of unimportant. These are your reverse clutch hub on the back of this drum. And that's where your reverse clutches lock onto that. So when we talk about power flow, it's kind of weird, okay? And how many, if you like the movie Cars, look for this, okay? It's sitting on top of Ramon's tattoo shop right there. So, all right, my son's giving me the evil eye. She says, "What?" All right, so we're gonna break this. We're gonna break this drum down, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna compress this retainer right here, and there's a snap ring, and there's a pretty substantial spring on it, a big coil spring. So we're gonna pull it out so we can get this piston out and inspect this thing. So you put it here, and we're gonna set these arms, and I'm gonna grab my snap ring pliers, and what we're going to do is compress this retainer here. And I'll spread the snap ring, and it pops right out. And guys, remember, have your safety glasses on, because man, I've seen these things come off and just about knock somebody's brains out here. It happens every now and then. I'm going to pull these arms and get them out of the way. Alright, so here's my hold down, my retainer. There's that little spring I was talking about. This joker wants to come out and play with somebody. And there's a snap ring that holds it in, okay? So you check that out, make sure they're not, they're not coming apart. Make sure your spring's still got some good pressure behind it, or good force on it. So that's a good one. That's going to go. This is a coil type return spring. I'll set that over to the side. Now, my piston will come right out of the drum. I just grabbed, this is an aluminum piston in a stamped steel drum. So if I grab the aluminum and I just give it a little twist, boom, comes right out. I'll set that aside. I'm going to look at this surface in the drum here, make sure I haven't got any grooves or anything right in here where the lip seal goes from the piston, and in the center. It looks pretty good. These splines are good. Okay, those are good. That's where I'm driving that, the intermediate shaft, or the stub shaft, some call it, back to my direct drum. You got to check those splines also. But this drum looks pretty good shape. And you can see this is an assembly lube. So I'll just put that back where it goes. It helps to get the parts together. So I'll set that aside. We've checked that. This right here, this little guy can get you sometimes. Now, what we're going to do is check the lip seals. And I just gave it away. I was going to say what type of seal this is. It's a lip seal. So it goes in the groove right around there. This does the same purpose as a piston ring on a gas engine. This is a seal. It has a little skirt that kind of hangs down like that. And as the fluid pressure comes up under the piston, this skirt, it hits that skirt and it swells it out against the inside of the drum, and that gives me my apply pressure. Kind of like just like a brake caliper or something, a brake piston. There's also a seal on the inside. It goes the same way. Both these seals have to go facing, the lips go facing down towards the fluid. You don't want to put them in upside down. Some guys do, and boy, it's heck getting it out of there, especially if you push it into the drum. But it's not going to seal like that. Okay? You can see more assembly lube. What I'm going to do is save myself a little trouble. I'm going to put that right back on the seal where it needs to be. It doesn't need to be on the bottom of the piston. So now, and this stuff washes off real good. It's a lot better than nasty, ground up metal and stuff. Now, you want to check this piston and make sure it doesn't have any cracks. Remember, this thing's applied almost all the time except for overdrive and reverse. And you want to make sure it's not cracked around here. You might want to, tap it on something lightly if it rattles. But this is a good one. This is doing okay. So we'll just rerun this and we're going to put it back. Basically, guys, that's it. Everything's it's a visual inspection on a clutch drum. It's just looking to see, man, do you see anything broke? This one's doing pretty good. Okay, so we're going to put this back together. Now I'm going to put the drum down here. I'm going to drop my piston in. You get a shot up over. I'm talking to my cameraman here. He's doing a real good job here. It's our first time here. I'm going to take this installer, and I'm going to do the inside seal first. I knock down the inside lip seal and make sure it's laying flat. And the piston feel, I'm not even pushing on the piston. I'm just kind of keeping it positioned straight. Now, I'm going to do the outside seal and just run this little gauge around here. This is a little lip seal installer tool that you get in some overhaul kits. After you use it on about 30 or 40 transmissions, it gets to be like a razor blade, so you want to get rid of them. Or you can use something like this, flexible plastic. It's the right thickness, slides right in there, does a great job, and you can throw it away. Or if you want to go really budget, 2-liter bottles, straight sides, Dr. Pepper, root beer, and you can cut about 6 Twinkie-sized slices out of the thing with a pair of scissors. And those work great. When they're all trashed out, throw them in the trash. I've got a bunch of them laying around here somewhere. Now, that piston went down real easy, and you can see if I can turn it, it's in. If it's locked up, that means the lip seal folded up on it. But if it turns, man, I'm all the way down. So that's good. Now I'll take the retainer, stay right there. Take the retainer, put the spring here, put my retainer there, and I'm going to put my snap ring in. That way y'all can get a bird's eye view of putting this together. Now I'll put these two, my two arms on my spring compressor tool here. And let's see here. I'll bring my old, so I'll bring my foot up. I like this spring compressor tool. This is one, it's can't remember, Hayden, I think. Anyway, you can see how it presses that retainer down by foot, and that way at least both my hands free to do the dirty work in here. And I will, I think I need a different set of snap ring pliers. Let's see here. Yeah, let me get something smaller that fits in there. And I'll put that in there. Just grab the ends of the snap ring and spread them a little bit. And it looks like, yeah, that was supposed to be easy right there. Let's see. Ah, there we go. Okay, got that in there. All right. So we're good. Yeah. All right. So got my snap ring in. I'm gonna give that a little bit of a tweak there. Sometimes I wonder about these things. They just look like they're not real happy being down in there. Hey, I heard a little click. Okay, don't try this at home. Let's see. All right, so I'm gonna get this out of the way. We're gonna stack this clutch pack up. So we've got everything in, the return spring of the retainer, snap rings in. We've done a visual check on everything. Now, if you remember, the first part we got coming in here is going to be this wavy. We'll put this wavy in just like that, right on top of the piston. Now we're going to be applying right up against a steel plate. That's flat. Those are various thicknesses depending on what year you're doing. Then you put in a clutch, and then a steel, clutch, steel, and you get the idea here. So they all come in here. We're going to alternate. We finish up with the last clutch. You always want to, you usually finish up with a clutch. You know, some of the guys out in the field, if you run across this video, you'll understand. I have finished up with a steel before. I've run 2 steels together before, but you don't want to run 2 clutch discs together because they will destroy each other. You finish up with your top plate, and then you put your snap ring in, and you're done. And then what I do is I just get my pick. I'll kind of run my clutches around, and I can feel they're all turning. I grab 3 or 4 and they're turning. I can lift up on them. You can see that little bit of play right there. You might catch it over here. There you go. See that play? I make sure it's all seated up. Now, it's hard to get a feeler gauge or anything in up here under this snap ring. So what you can probably do is if you pull, in this case, if I pull this top plate up, I will get, let me see, I'm going to put a couple of them together here. Let's go 28. What you normally want, your clutch pack clearance on this thing here, you usually run from 40 to 60 thousandths clearance. General rule of thumb is you give about 10 thousandths clearance per clutch. I think in this one we had like 5 clutches, so we'd be looking around 50 thousandths. So I can take, I'm going to combine these, and I've got 50, actually I got about 61,000. It's a little bit high there. Let's see here. I've got all my other stuff here in another location, so I think we're doing okay here. Let's see, let's go, yeah, that might work. I'm going to run here. This is going to be, looks like 59 combined. And I'll run it right along here, and I'll put it in, see if I can get it in between that top plate and that clutch. And it's a little bit tight, not quite wanting to go in there. So I'm gonna kind of guesstimate here a little bit. Let me try 34. Yeah, okay, so here we go. We got about 48. Oh, okay, good. So we got a nice little fit right there. It's about 48, just a little bit of drag. So I'm gonna figure this is about 46, 47 thousandths. Okay, so that's pretty good. If you build 1,000,000 of these, you can tell by lifting up. I say, oh yeah, that's a good one right there, you know. But this one's running about 40, 47, 48 thousandths clearance. I'm okay with that. The lower you are on the clearance, as long as you're in spec, you're going to get more life out of these clutches. That piston's not having to travel a half a mile just to apply these clutches. You'll get more wear out of them, less friction wear, stuff like that. So, you know, that's what you're shooting for. Now, what we'll do, we'll cover at a later date. I don't have the compressor fired up, and so we will show you on a later one how you air check these. It's a whole separate lab. So once we get the, I'll go through some other drum packs or not, but we'll air check them. I'll show you that's something you want to do. As you overhaul the transmission, you want to make sure that these things work before you put them in the case. And if something should go wrong, at least you left yourself a breadcrumb trail and thinking, you know what, I know that drum works, so maybe it's external, maybe I got the wrong valve body gasket or something. But we'll be covering those in subsequent labs here. So, but I think that's it on this one here. So use these YouTube videos to fill out your task sheets, because I'm speaking straight to those task sheets. You know, so you'll be looking at the information it's wanting, and we've covered it in here for specs and everything. So, all right. So until the next video or until our next Zoom meeting, guys, everybody take care, and we will see you soon. Thank you.